I guess the bottom line is there's no way to override zoning locally through any state initiative, any master plan, any effort requires a 2/3 vote of the city council to approve any zoning changes that would happen on Bridge Street or any place else in the community.
But based on the concerns you saw tonight, and you may see it at other places in the city, would you not leave that up to the population to sit there and the constituency to sit there and say, you know what, we'll vote on that?
Phil, I feel like I'm fighting a ghost because, and I say that because there's no proposal right now. Right now, there's a desire to take a master plan that had a lot of public input, a lot of good thoughts, a lot of good ideas, and create an ideal that is reflected in a zoning ordinance for this neighborhood. It is still in the works. It has not even been a final proposal. I know the working group is working hard to boil down all the ideas into a document that can be presented to the city council and hopefully has support from the folks in this room. That's the direction we're heading in. So I don't think you're going to see a zoning tool that comes out that you're stamping your feet at. I think it's actually going to be a really workable document that looks at that master plan and says, how do we help create that? If this is about breaking clutch, 1, they're not going anywhere, 2, it was a hypothetical, 3, the zoning that's being proposed isn't going to allow it. So that's when I say I'm fighting a ghost. I asked Jay, I'm going to put you on the spot. I said, Jay, what are you concerned about? He said, well, I don't want any more affordable housing on the site next door. None of that's even proposed right now.
But understand that concern. It may not be proposed, but someone went through the effort to put it in.
No, so what happened was there's a Gateway City initiative statewide for how to help invest in 24 communities that the state is talking about, a desire that they have, in a Bridge Street master plan that identified every parcel on Bridge Streets and talked about hypotheticals for 3 potential sites. They talked about retail at Clipper Ship, if breaking clutch wasn't there, what could happen for housing, and the old Salem plumbing building. Now there is a working document that's being worked on by the committee to actually look at zoning and create some of the things that folks wanted. That mixed use, neighborhood style retail, support for housing, a real strong buy here plan modeled after Worcester to bring more families here, that home ownership, that 50-50 percentage that Rob talked about. There's lots of good things in it. So I hope before you're getting scared about a hypothetical that just identified something, you'll take a chance to read the master plan. There's an executive summary, because 127 pages could put you to sleep. It almost put me to sleep. That really lays out why it's critical that we reinvest here. And it doesn't just talk about zoning, it talks about connecting the bike paths, finding those great open spaces. How do we get better use of this gas tank area down here? It's so cut off from the rest of the neighborhood. How do we take advantage of the vibrancy that we know is here and create a place where not only you're happy, but people are investing? And I think that's what we're trying to do. And I think you'll see zoning that comports to that. So that's it.
I have one question, and maybe it's on other people's minds. You have said that it's 2/3 of the city council that can pass a 40R, correct?
Any zoning change. A 40R district would be a zoning change. Yep.
Okay. If that were to pass, who else does it affect but those of us in this area?
So a 40R district, if you wanted to create one, would have to have boundaries. So I don't know of any city that said we're going to make our whole community a 40R district. It just creates, I don't know of that many gateway cities who are even using the 40R tool. So it would be a boundary based on how big that 40R district was going to be.
Okay, but just according to this plan and possibly down the road, if that 40R were to pass, this is the area that they're talking about developing with affordable housing, correct?
No.
Possible.
Possible.
Well,
Possibly.
I think the plan said if we looked at that site in a hypothetical way and you wanted to put housing on it, in order to develop housing, the only way the market could support housing on that site is if you had a subsidized affordable housing project. It did not say, let's go create a zoning district that does that. It was presenting hypotheticals of the 3 larger commercial properties in the neighborhood.
I guess my biggest concern is that as a resident of this neighborhood, and I have been here for 32 years, I moved from an affluent nearby town, I won't mention where.
What's it begin with? Come on.
And
One guess.
I know it's not true. I happen to love living in this city. I wouldn't move back to my hometown for anything, because I've been happy with the education my children got. I don't want to live in Haverhill. Lowell, Leominster, Fitchburg. I like living in Salem. I like my neighborhood to stay the way it is. If it should pass, and maybe this wouldn't be the only specific area that might be under the microscope for affordable housing, but is there anything as a residents that we can do to prevent it from being specifically this area? I understand that our counselors speak for us, but I think the residents ought to be able to have a say as well. I don't know what we can do.
So I think the best thing you can do is what you're doing right here, is getting involved and staying involved. I'd encourage you to really look at that Bridge Street master plan. There is a working document that the committee's been working on, looking at specifics around the zoning. There'll be lots of public hearings around this issue. So for a zoning change to go forward, right, you need the 2/3 vote of your city council, not once but twice. It takes 2 votes. You need a recommendation from the planning board following a public hearing, usually a joint public hearing with the city council and the planning board. So I don't want to give anybody the impression that zoning changes are willy-nilly and something that just happens and you won't even know about it. There'll be lots of opportunity for notice, lots of opportunity to get involved. But I really want you to know, no one's proposing 40R. No one's taking that Gateway City initiative. Well, but you're right. So staying involved is the way, certainly, to be aware of what's happening. I'm hoping you're going to look at the Bridge Street Historic Neck Neighborhood Zoning District and look at it and go, this is great. It's in the works right now. You should get involved. It's up on the website. We'll make sure that the working documents and the meeting notes, we do a pretty good job of putting that stuff up there so you can track it even if you can't come to the meetings. But it's a really good tool. We think the master plan is a really good tool to drive the zoning, and we'll develop hopefully a zoning ordinance that you're happy to come to a meeting and support. That's the goal.
And I have one